Southern Nevada, August. You and your crew IA'd the fire at 10 o'clock. Now it's close to 1800. The temperature's been over 100 since noon. You've been running and gunning for almost 8 hours straight without a break for food or water. The whole crew has been focused on punching line around the fire and hasn't really thought about breaks. Only 6 or more chains, we can hook it. The crew is bunching up. Line production is dropping like a rock. You bump up to the lead saw to see what's holding up the line diggers. You ask him if he's feeling okay. "Yeah, sure. Need to get it around the fire, boss," he replies. His face is flushed, his legs are shaking, and he has the 1,000-yard stare. You notice that he still has 2 full canteens in his line pack, and then suddenly he passes out. Heat stroke. Did you miss something?
If we're not paying attention to the symptoms, we're going to start seeing the signs. And what's really key to that is by the time the symptoms go away and we are seeing the signs, we're cascading down that hill at a lot faster rate.
In this module, we will focus on heat-related illnesses as it relates to you, the wildland firefighter. You will learn how to recognize symptoms, proper treatment, and preventive measures that you can take. To lead our discussion on these topics are Bill Arsenault, a fire line paramedic, and Dr. Gary Brandecker, an emergency room physician at St. Luke's Hospital in Boise, Idaho.
We have 3 types of heat illnesses. We have heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Oftentimes, we kind of just move on to the next one without even realizing it.
Heat cramps are painful, brief muscle cramps that occur during exercise or work in a hot environment. Heat cramps can be caused by inadequate fluid intake and failure to replace electrolytes like sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium.
When you have someone who's been working hard and they've been sucking water, but they're still having cramps, it's because their chemicals in their body are off. They need to replenish some of their salts. They may be starting on the dehydration path.
Heat exhaustion is a form of heat-related illness that can develop after several days of exposure to high temperatures and inadequate or unbalanced replacement of fluids and electrolytes. Heat stroke, unlike heat cramps and heat exhaustion, is a true medical emergency and can be fatal if not treated promptly and properly. The person's cooling system stops working and the internal body temperature rises.
When you start reaching a body temperature of 105, 106, you can start to break down muscle tissue, break down proteins, and if the temperature continues to increase, you can start to create liver problems and brain problems and cause brain swelling, altered mental status, coma in those situations.
When we talk about heat cramps, we're going to be looking at for basic signs and symptoms. Leg cramps, stomach cramps. When we talk about heat exhaustion, we're talking about a person profusely sweating, displaying to you through that, their very red face, telling you that I have a headache. You check their pulse and you notice that their heart rate is just racing. And then the final progression in the death chain of heat illnesses is the heat stroke. And that one in and of itself, if we're at that stage, we're already behind.
Your body has numerous mechanisms when it senses danger. The key to identifying heat-related illness is listening to your body. If you're not feeling quite right, take a break and make a quick assessment of your condition. Don't feel like you have to power on through the symptoms of heat-related illness.
The first thing is to have that person disengage. Step away from the fire line if they can into a safe area. The next part, start helping them dissipate some of that heat. Whether it's taking down their fire shirt and taking off their t-shirt and getting them some fluids. The other key component of that is once you recognize there's a problem, don't wait to notify your leader. If it's already starting to happen, get the line EMT or the line paramedic who has the IV fluids over to that situation. Because as we all know, sometimes it's not going to be a 5-minute response like it would be in the city. The key point behind all of this is stopping the emergency before it cascades to a worse event and getting the resources that you need there to help you. You and I working on the fire line can be working right next to each other for 2 or 3 days straight, or 10 days, eat and smoke together, and I say to you, gosh, Scott, you got any ibuprofen? I really have a headache. And you think in your mind, well, I've got a headache too. We all have a headache. But then here's the difference. A half hour later, I sit down, my face is extremely red, I'm sweating profusely. You're seeing the signs because I'm red-faced, I'm sweating profusely, and now I'm sitting down. You missed the symptom of simply me saying, I have really got a headache. How much water have you drinking? If I reach back into my lying gear and I feel I have 2 full jugs and it's noon and I've got 1 full jug over here on this side, that's usually a 4 to 5 hour block of engagement, and I've still got 3 full ones, I probably am not drinking enough.
The most important thing is to avoid fluids with caffeine, because fluids with caffeine are actually going to have a diuretic effect. And what I mean by diuretic effect is that they're going to cause you to urinate more fluid than you're probably taking in. The way we acclimate to heat is part of it is being in good physical condition. If you have underlying medical conditions, it will affect your ability to acclimate to the heat. Also, probably getting used to a new environment slowly. You know, you don't want to go from being at a relatively cool climate to a hot climate and right away try to exercise, and also elevation could be a factor too.
2 key points to walk away with today for heat illnesses. 1, make sure you take the time to look in your IRPG, wherever it is, and review heat illnesses, heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Recognize the signs and the symptoms in there, place them in your memory so that when the next time you're out on a fire line and someone says, my muscles are really sore, or all of a sudden they start vomiting, and you look at them, their face is very flushed, you recognize that, oh, I read that in my RPG, we need to stop this emergency. The next part is taking the time to correct the incident before it becomes worse. If that firefighter starts to tell you, I don't feel so good, this is the moment where they need to disengage, get them cooled off, either by taking down some of their clothing layers, patting them with water, giving them slow sips of fluid, and getting help coming. You cannot do this by yourself, first of all. And second of all, we don't want the cascade of events to become worse. So get help coming.
I think to avoid these problems, prevention is going to be the key. Probably in the off season, to stay physically fit and active, and don't show up at the first day of any type of training camp and think that you're going to be at your peak performance. I think you have to slowly work into getting back into shape, making sure that you're well hydrated, and getting enough sleep and rest is also important.